Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this is not going to be a very long episode at all, and most likely I'm not going to get any real work done in it, but I wanted to pop in and let you all know kind of where we are with the initial stages of the paint part of this project and show you all a heck of a surprise I just discovered in the process. So here's what we've got going on. We'll skip this stuff on the floor and we'll go right to what's on the bench. I started with the canary yellow foot plates because, well, I didn't know what to expect, what was still left underneath the yellow, and it turns out they did what I believe is a self-etching primer after they had sandblasted. There was no original finish left under it, but it was evident there was like a self-etching primer with that really horrible yellow over the top. I ended up having to sandblast these completely down to bare metal. The paint, the chemical paint stripper, didn't take all that self-etch primer off. And I'll flip this one over, I'll show you. I left it on the back side. That's after me grinding on it as hard as I could with a wire wheel. And it's got all the hallmarks of a self-etch primer. It's almost like it leaves a galvanized finish on the steel, if that makes any sense. It's just, you can never quite get down to bare metal. Even the paint stripper wouldn't take it off. So sandblasting was the only way to get those completely cleaned up. Next, I moved on to the front dirt guards, and it was evident right away. I put the chemical on just a patch, cleaned all that canary yellow off. They'd done the same thing. They blasted it, self-etch primed, and then canary over that. So we got both of those blasted down to bare metal. Now the rear portion guards, well, these were the originals from 5J1113, and I'd covered it briefly before, but the tracks were allowed to run so slack for so long that the track chains on the bottom side actually sagged down far enough to cut a couple of strips in that guard. You can see there's holes all the way through there and there. This guard did not come through unscathed either. There's a couple track marks in that too. So my buddies John, Diesel, and Digger hooked me up with another set of first generation. See that? You got the grease fitting hole in each one. First generation D2 rear guards. They were quite rusty, and I just hit those with the blaster enough to get the loose stuff off the top, because for the paint job I'm doing on these, they don't need to be any better than that. So those two originals are going to keep the canary for now. They're going to go back into storage, I think. Wait for a rainy day. Next to those on the floor, I went up to the shed this morning, and here are the last pieces that we still had up there off of 5J1113. They are the standard light duty rock guards that cover over the 4 track rollers on each side of the bottom of the track frame. And all we're going to do with these, scrape all that old track roller grease off, get them ready to go back on. So we'll have these ready to bolt on in a bit. So now the canary yellow hood, that's the last piece we have to address, and this is where the surprise comes into play. So you'll notice that access panel is not on the hood. That was painted canary just with the rest of it. That is that goes over the top of the starting engine right here. That's your access to do some mag and breather work, maybe carb adjustments and everything else. So I put the chemical stripper on that small little access panel first, and that's where the surprise comes into play. That's right. That's original 5J1113 paint finish left on that. I was really careful. Once I started actually melting that new canary yellow off the top, I noticed we had some darker finish underneath, so I was very, very careful with it after that. And I was able just to melt the new paint and primer off of that existing finish, and I saved the bulk of it. And I couldn't believe they didn't sandblast this. You can see right here, that wasn't for me. That was from, I think they just tried like a little bit of sandpaper on the back side to see how hard it was going to be to take that existing finish off. And it must have been stuck a little harder than they wanted to mess with. So they just primed and painted over it. So minimal surface prep on that. And I can't believe it. You can still see where the large flat washers had been rubbing on each corner. And yeah, this had where it interfaced with these areas of the hood panel, it had been rattling on there just long enough. It's actually worn like a little bit of a groove around there. You can catch it. There's a step there, but I couldn't believe we had any existing finish left from 1113 at all. And we're going to keep this. Anything I can save, we're keeping intact. You can tell how it's quite a bit brighter than the dash. But of course, I don't know how many years ago this was covered over with the canary yellow and sealed, whereas the dash and everything else continued to sit outside and fade. So it's all right. If that's original finish, we're leaving it. So I'm about to throw some chemical onto that hood. What do you think's under that canary? Do you think they sandblasted the hood as well? Or do you think they just primered and painted over the existing finish like they did with that removable panel? I would love it if we had some existing finish left on that hood. It'd be really nice not have to blast that all the way down to bare metal and start back over from scratch. But post up below what your predictions are. Do you think there's anything left or not? I'm just going to keep my prediction under wraps for now. I'm definitely leaning one way. I've had a pretty good look at it, and I think I know what I'm going to find. But what do you think's going to happen? So, yeah, let's start peeling the ugly off of it and tune in next time to find out. Thanks for watching, everybody.